Hi team! So it's time to talk about water. Now, although water provides us with no energy, it is perhaps the single most important nutrient, for want of a better word, that we take into the body. We can survive several weeks without food. We can't survive several days without water. Our bodies are 65 to 75% water. Water is in every cell of the body and it's used for every single bodily function. So it's not difficult to see why it's so important. We need it to send chemical messages through the body. It's kind of like the transport system. It is vital for digestion and absorption. So it's all well and good having a wonderful clean diet and sticking to the honest principles, but if we're not drinking enough water, the digestion process is really impeded, and many of our vitamins are water soluble, such as vitamin C, vitamin E. So if we're not taking on enough water, we're not going to do the best we can to absorb as much of that nutrient as possible. Water also plays a really interesting role with fat loss. In terms of just our body weight, if we don't have enough water coming in, the body stores onto water because it's concerned where its next fresh glass of H2O is going to come from. So when we're consistently drinking up to 2 litres of water a day, the body will release water really readily because it knows it's getting a steady supply. And this really aids the fat burning process. So it's such an interesting and such a simple fact that making sure that you are quite steadily throughout the day drinking pure and simple water, you will really aid your fat loss results. We are not talking fizzy drinks, squash, tea, coffee. Please, by all means, pop in a slice of lemon or infuse some fruit. But we are talking about water in its most simple terms. How do you know you're hydrated enough? Well, your urine is the colour of very pale squash. If it's a strong sort of yellow or goldy colour, you're not taking enough water. And if it's running clear, then potentially you're taking on too much too. Quite simply, drinking to thirst is quite a good indication. But if you've got into the habit of not drinking enough water for a week or two, you need to start re-educating yourself and have a glass of water on your desk or a bottle of water with you, and steadily throughout the day work your way through those 2 litres of water. Now, what's interesting about water is that it's often used in fad diets to give us a sort of misnomer that we are really losing weight. For example, there are fad diets out there where you cut out carbohydrates, where your diet is very heavily fat or protein based. And in the body, carbohydrate binds to water. And so if we remove that macronutrient group, and I don't mean reduce it or just stick with our whole grains or our complex carbs, but almost eliminating it completely, we also shed a lot of water. This is not maintainable, it is not a long-term solution, it is not good for our health because it has a major impact on a lot of our bodily functions, but within days the scales will report that you've lost half a stone, anything up to a stone of water weight, which is quite a terrifying idea. So the moral of the story is this is probably the most simple of all of the honest principles to sort of get on board with and maintain. Whether you go on holiday, whether it's a treat meal is involved in that day, whatever's going on, water and drinking sufficient amounts of it is something we should be able to maintain day in, day out, whatever happens. Really make it a priority, make it a habit, and just watch the results, and you will have an amazing impact on the performance that you give in Jeanette's videos too. Water is so important for allowing our body to regulate its own temperature. So fill up that glass. I hope this has given you sort of a bit more insight to this particular honest principle, and I will catch up with you very soon.